They say seeing is believing, but what happens when your eyes see something that your brain simply refuses to accept? And the psychology behind the world's greatest athletes. Tonight, we aren't talking about stats, trade rumors, or playoff brackets. Tonight, we are opening a classified dossier on a phenomenon that defies the laws of physics. A player so unique that LeBron James refused to call him a unicorn and instead labeled him an alien. We are doing a deep dive investigation into Victor Wembanyama, the glitch in the matrix, the biological impossible. If you enjoy these deep late-night stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell. Join us in the void. Now, put on your headphones, close your eyes, and let the investigation begin.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's great to be here.
You know, usually when we sit down at this table, we've got a whole stack of articles, right? We're sifting through them, trying to find a trend line or, piece together a narrative from a dozen different sources.
We're connecting the dots. That's usually the job.
But today is different. We are walking into a single scene.
Yeah, a very different approach for us.
We're focusing on one document that, honestly, it feels less like a sports report and more like a classified dossier.
That's a good way to put it.
An investigation into something. Well, something unexplained. We are looking at this Midnight Courts script, and the subject matter is something that genuinely challenges how we understand human biomechanics.
It really does. And I'm glad you used the word investigation right off the bat, because that is absolutely the correct framing for this.
Yeah.
We aren't here to talk about points per game or trade rumors.
No.
Not today.
No playoff brackets.
None of that. We are strictly looking at the intersection of physics, biology, and what I can only describe as a glitch in reality.
A glitch. I like that.
We are investigating a phenomenon that, if you strictly follow the laws of conventional biomechanics, just shouldn't exist.
So before we get into the data, and the numbers are frankly disorienting, I want to set the stage. I really want to bring you, the listener, into the specific atmosphere described in this source material.
It's important. The context is everything here.
Because this story doesn't start with the pyrotechnics of a starting lineup introduction. It starts in the silence.
It starts in the void.
Exactly. I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Imagine it is 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 a.m.
You are in San Antonio, Texas. You are standing on the hardwood floor of the AT&T Center. Now, usually this place is a sensory overload, lights, music, 20,000 screaming fans.
Constant noise.
But right now,
Yeah.
it's completely empty. The house lights are cut. You're just navigating by that eerie, low-hum ghost glow from the exit signs and the safety lighting.
It's a very specific sensory experience. The source describes the air as heavy.
Heavy, yes. And I think anyone who has been in a massive theater or a stadium after hours knows that exact feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
It's perfectly still, but it feels electrically charged. The source calls it the lingering kinetic energy of the crowds. It's quiet, but it's a loud silence. It feels like the building is holding its breath.
And the source uses a term here that I think is absolutely critical for framing our entire discussion today.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The liminal space of professional sports.
I circled that immediately. Liminal space. It's a term you usually hear in, architecture discussions, maybe anthropology.
Referencing a rite of passage or a threshold.
It feels very elevated for a basketball discussion. So let's unpack that. What does liminality mean in this specific context?
So the word comes from the Latin lemon, which means threshold. A liminal space is a transition point. It's an airport terminal at midnight, or a hallway between rooms. It is the gap between what was and what is next. It's a space of waiting and ambiguity.
The state of in-between.
Exactly. But in this investigation, the source applies it conceptually. It describes the liminal space as the gap between the known possible, what we know human physiology can do, what the medical textbooks say is the limit.
And what we're actually seeing with our own eyes.
And the witnessed reality, precisely. It's the gap between the data and the eyes.
It's that uncanny valley for human movement.
That is the perfect way to describe it. It's that eerie middle ground where your brain sees something, but your logical framework, all your past experience just says, that's not right. That can't be. That is the liminal space. And that is exactly where our subject, Victor Wembanyama, lives. He exists in the threshold between the laws of physics and the impossible.
And usually in those quiet moments, in that 3.0 a.m. silence, the world makes sense. We take comfort in the fact that gravity works a certain way, that mass moves a certain way.
We do. And we have the data to back it up. If you look at decades of biomechanical spreadsheets, the math is very, very rigid. We have a century of data on human athletic performance.
The models are pretty well established.
They are. And those models tell us that a human being standing 7'4" simply cannot move in certain ways. The laws of leverage are stubborn things.
So it's not a question of skill, it's a question of physics.
Pure physics. We know, effectively as a scientific fact, that a body of that vertical magnitude shouldn't be able to change direction laterally in under half a second.
It's a leverage issue, right? It's simple mechanics.
It's skeletal load, it's leverage physics, and it's the center of gravity. Think about a construction crane. A crane can lift massive weight, but it turns slowly.
Right, it has to.
It has to, because of the torque. If you swing a long arm too fast, the base destabilizes. The forces are just too high. The limbs are too long.
And the human body isn't made of steel.
Exactly. The structural integrity of the human knee and ankle, which are just hinges made of bone and ligament, they shouldn't hold up against that kind of torque on that kind of frame. It's not just unlikely, it is, scientifically speaking, contradictory to the current model of the human athlete.
And yet, here we are. We're looking at the evidence. We are talking about Victor Wembanyama. And the reason we are doing this deep dive isn't just because he's tall. We've seen tall. The NBA has had Giants, Manute Bol, Yao Ming, Sean Bradley. We know what tall looks like.
We have a category for that.
We do. The reason we are here is because of a specific moment that really crystallized this glitch in the matrix. We have to go back to 2022.
The moment the gold standard weighed in.
LeBron James. Now, regardless of where you stand on the greatest of all time debate.
And we are not getting into that today.
Definitely not. But LeBron James is the modern benchmark for athleticism. He is a cyborg. He has seen everything the NBA has to offer for 20 years. He has played against the fastest, the strongest, the biggest.
There's nothing that should surprise him at this point.
And he is standing on a sideline in Las Vegas, watching this 19-year-old kid from Nanterre, France. And the report notes that watching LeBron watch Victor is almost as interesting as watching Victor himself.
Because you can see the processing error happening in real time, on his face.
Right. LeBron didn't just offer the usual polite praise. He didn't give the standard media answer of, oh, he's a great talent, bright future.
No, this was different.
He basically took the scouting report, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash.
He realized the old language didn't work anymore. The taxonomy failed him.
And he used a specific word. And this is really the crux of our first segment here. He explicitly refused to call him a unicorn. He called him an alien.
And that distinction is vital. It's not like just casual sports slang. We know players love nicknames.
Yeah.
But if we really analyze the linguistics there, as the source does, it tells you everything about the seismic shift we are witnessing.
Okay, so let's break that down. Unicorn versus alien. We've heard unicorn talked around a lot over the last decade. It was the buzzword.
It was.
Kevin Durant was a unicorn. Kristaps Porzingis was a unicorn. Why is that label insufficient now? Why did LeBron feel the need to escalate the terminology?
Think about what a unicorn is in mythology. It's a horse with a horn.
Right.
It's magical, sure. It is beautiful and it is rare. But fundamentally, it is a variation of a known species. We know what a horse looks like. We understand its gait, its skeletal structure, its speed.
We have a baseline for it.
We do. A unicorn is just a rare, beautiful outlier of a horse.
Yeah.
So when we call Kevin Durant a unicorn, we are saying he is a 7-footer who can shoot like a guard. That's incredibly rare, but it's within the expected margins of human evolution. It's an outlier, but it's still on the chart.
It's terrestrial. It makes sense to our brains, even if it's impressive. It's just horse plus.
Exactly. An alien is something else entirely. An alien implies exobiology. It implies an origin point that is foreign to our understanding of physics.
It's from outside the system.
It is. An alien is a biological anomaly that the human eye struggles to process because we don't have a reference point for it. It doesn't fit the taxonomy. So when LeBron called him an alien, he wasn't just complimenting him. He was identifying a disturbance. He was saying, this does not belong in our current understanding of the game.
The quote from the source that stood out to me was LeBron saying, "No one has ever seen anyone as tall as he is, but as fluid and as graceful as he is."
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the height that scared him. It was the fluidity, the grace.
That's the key. It's the combination of vertical magnitude and grace. It was a witness statement. LeBron was testifying to something that shouldn't exist. Usually, nature demands a trade-off.
Right. You get one or the other.
You can have size, or you can have agility, you can have power, or you can have speed. Victor refused the trade-off.
So our mission in this deep dive is to figure out why that trade-off didn't happen.
We need to dissect this anomaly and look at the specific glitches in reality he presents. Because when you peel back the layers, it stops being about basketball and starts being about biological engineering.
So let's get into the glitches. Let's look at the hard evidence. Because the numbers are staggering, but they don't tell the full story until you add the movement.
Well, let's start with the chassis. Let's get the specs on the table. Confirmed, 7'4" without shoes.
Without shoes. That's a key detail.
An 8-foot wingspan.
8 feet. I mean, I want you to really try to visualize that. Look at the wall in your room. An 8-foot wingspan is wall-to-wall in a standard hallway. If he stands in the middle of a room, he can effectively touch both sides without moving his feet.
It's a scale that's hard to comprehend. And in any other era of basketball history, if you dropped a human of that vertical magnitude onto a court, their role would be predetermined by physics. They would be an anchor.
A lumbering giant. That's
There.
the archetype, right? We've seen it 100 times.
Lumbering is the word we always use. And there's a biological reason for that word. It's not just an insult. Large bodies are forced to move with deliberation because of the energy cost of movement.
They can't be nimble.
They camp in the paint.
Right.
They protect the rim. But they don't dance. They don't flow. They definitely don't initiate the offense from the perimeter.
And this brings us to one of the most fascinating scientific concepts in the source material. It explains why giants are usually slow and why Victor breaks that rule so completely. The concept is neural lag.
Yes. This is where we move from sports analysis to pure biology. This is where the investigation gets really interesting.
Explain this to me.
Yeah.
Because neural lag sounds like I'm having a bad internet connection while I'm playing a video game.
It's actually a perfect analogy. Think of the human body as a network. You have the motor cortex of the brain. That's the server, that's the command center where the decisions are made. And you have the extremities, the hands and feet, which are the end users. Nerves are the cables carrying the signal. Now, this is simple physics. In a body that is 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan, the nerve impulses physically have a greater distance to travel from the brain to the destination.
So just more ground to cover.
More ground to cover than they do in a body that is 6 feet tall.
So there is a literal physical latency. The signal takes longer to arrive.
Yes. We were talking about milliseconds, but in elite sports, milliseconds are the entire world.
Right. That's the difference between winning and losing.
That is the difference between a block and a dunk. That is the difference between a steal and a foul. For a traditional giant, that extra distance results in slower reaction times. The signal takes longer to get there, and the feedback signal takes longer to get back to the brain.
And that's why they look slow.
That is why big men usually look slow compared to a 6-foot point guard. It's not just that they are heavy, it's that their network is physically larger. There's more lag in the system.
But Victor, watching him, he doesn't look like he has any lag. He looks like he's playing on a fiber optic connection while everyone else is on dial-up.
Victor is the glitch. The source emphasizes that he possesses the neuromuscular firing patterns of a 6'2" player.
Okay, stop there. What does that actually mean? Firing patterns.
It means the speed at which his brain can send an execute command and his muscles respond. It's the processing speed of his physical body.
So he has the ping rate of a guard, but the server size of a giant.
That's the anomaly. His twitch reflexes operate on a guard's frequency, despite his head being level with the rim. Biologically, he has bypassed the standard latency that nature usually imposes on creatures of that size. The signal degradation isn't happening. He is firing instructions to his extremities at a speed that shouldn't be possible for that chassis.
And that leads to these moments where your brain just kind of rebels. The source talks about the step-back three-pointer. Now, we see guards do this all the time. James Harden, Steph Curry, they made a living on it. But when Victor does it, it looks wrong. It looks like CGI.
It looks wrong because it defies our internal logic of mass and momentum. A step-back three requires two specific things: precise deceleration and a rapid shift in the center of gravity.
So you have to slam on the brakes.
You have to be sprinting forward, stop all that forward momentum instantly, and pull it backward. Now, for a guard, that's an explosive but manageable movement.
And usually, if you are 7'4", stopping that much momentum that quickly means you tip over.
Or you break something. The torque on the knees, on the ankles, is immense. Think of a skyscraper swaying in the wind. Now, imagine the skyscraper trying to jump backwards. That's the kind of force we're talking about.
So how does he do it?
He relies on a highly evolved proprioceptive system.
Proprioception, that's the internal GPS, right? Your sense of where your body is.
Correct. It's your body's ability to know where it is in space without looking. Close your eyes and touch your nose. That's proprioception. Now, most giants suffer from a degree of what you could call limb confusion.
Limb confusion.
There is just too much limb to track during high-speed maneuvers. They lose track of where their feet are in relation to their hips, their hands in relation to the ball. It's why they can sometimes look clumsy.
There's too much data for the processor to handle.
Exactly. But Victor's system is so advanced, so high fidelity, that he can execute crossover dribbles that should, mechanically, topple his frame. He knows exactly where the tips of that 8-foot wingspan are at every microsecond.
This brings us to how the opponents feel. Because if it looks weird to us on TV, imagine standing 5 feet away from it on the court. The source calls this the distortion field.
Or the visual paradox. I love that term.
I love that image. It implies he's not just playing defense, he's warping the reality of the court.
He is.
The source describes these elite NBA players, guys who are the best in the world, who have played thousands of games, driving to the hoop. They have a lane, they see the rim, they've made this drive 1,000 times, but then they see Victor's shadow.
And they abort.
They abort midair. You see them jump and then just give up. They pass it out or they throw up a wild off-balance shot.
That is the distortion field. It's deeply psychological. It's a mental attack as much as a physical one.
It's not that he's blocking the shot.
No, that's the crucial part. They don't wait to be blocked. Their brains run a quick calculation, geometry, trajectory, velocity, and the brain returns a result. Error. There is no path.
Wow.
They realize there is no arc they can shoot that Victor cannot reach. So they just stop. He isn't just blocking the shot, he is deleting the idea of the shot from their minds.
He is redefining the concept of being open.
He is. If you can cover 15 feet of space in a single stride and reach 12 feet in the air, open becomes a theoretical concept, not a reality. The court is effectively shrunk for the offense.
So we have established the glitch, the neural lag that isn't there, the proprioception that shouldn't exist. But now I want to pivot to the how, because you don't just wake up like this.
Right.
Well, you wake up tall, but you don't wake up moving like water. The source details the biology of his training, and it is fascinating. It's called the Alkir method.
This is where we get into the engineering of the machine. This isn't standard NBA conditioning. This is a custom-built architectural project.
And it starts with the most unlikely body part imaginable. The source calls it the foundation of the machine. But it's not the legs, it's not the core,
Nope.
It's the big toe.
The big toe theory.
It sounds ridiculous, Ray. It sounds like something out of a kung fu movie. You see this training footage, and the source says it looks like piano practice, not NBA training. He's barefoot, just moving his toes independently.
It looks subtle, almost silly to the untrained eye, but it is structurally vital. His trainer, Biomechanics, posits that the big toe is the primary anchor for balance and propulsion. Everything starts there.
Why, though? Why so much focus on one toe?
To understand why this matters, you have to understand the concept of the tax of gravity.
The tax of gravity, that's a heavy phrase. What does that mean for an athlete?
It means that gravity isn't free. For every lateral slide, every jump, every landing, gravity exacts a tax on the body in the form of force and impact. The heavier and taller you are, the higher the tax.
So a 7'4" body is paying a luxury tax on every single step.
A massive one. And in the history of the NBA, who pays that tax? Where does that debt get collected?
The Giants, Ralph Sampson, Yao Ming, Bill Walton, their feet and knees.
Yao Ming is the tragic example. The tax was paid in broken bones, stress fractures in the feet. The structure couldn't handle the load. The feet shattered under the weight of the brilliance. The force of landing a 300-pound body repeatedly destroys the small bones.
So focusing on the big toe is tax evasion.
In a biomechanical sense, yes, it's a loophole. It's smart accounting. By strengthening those micromuscles in the toe and the foot, Victor is learning to distribute that kinetic energy efficiently across the entire base of his foot.
So it spreads the load.
It spreads the load. He's ensuring that the shock doesn't travel straight up to shatter the knees or compress the lower back. He's sparing his body from catastrophic load. He's dissipating the force before it reaches the critical joints.
It's amazing to think that the career of the most exciting prospect in history rests on the micromuscles of his big toe. It changes how you watch him move. You realize everything starts from the floor up.
But that's the realization Victor and his team had.
Yeah.
He realized he cannot train like a normal person. He requires a different manual.
A completely different operating system.
If he trained like a traditional center-heavy squats, bulk lifting, rigid movements, he would break. He would pay the tax, and his career would be short and brilliant, but ultimately tragic.
And that leads to the other big debate mentioned in the source. Elasticity versus bulk. You look at a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. When he came into the league, he was skinny. Now, he's a Greek god. He's a tank. He runs through people.
The force of nature.
And the common wisdom from the pundits is, Victor needs to hit the weight room. He needs to gain 50 pounds to bang in the post.
And the engineering answer from his team is, absolutely not. On a 7'4" frame, mass is the enemy.
Mass is the enemy. That counters everything we usually hear about getting stronger.
Think about the physics again. It's all about force distribution. If you add 40 pounds of muscle to Victor Wembanyama, you are adding 40 pounds of stress to a structure that is already pushing the limits of physics with every step.
So you're increasing the tax of gravity.
You're doubling down on it. His team isn't trying to build a tank. A tank is rigid. If you hit a tank, it doesn't move, but it takes the full impact. They are building a suspension bridge.
A suspension bridge. That makes so much sense. It has to sway. It has to give.
It has to handle the wind and the load by moving, not by resisting. If a suspension bridge was perfectly rigid, it would collapse in a storm. If Victor added that bulk, his joints would likely snap under the tension of his own movements.
So all that flexibility is a feature, not a bug.
It's the core of the design. The source uses a beautiful analogy here that I think explains his entire philosophy. The oak versus the bamboo.
I bookmarked this part. It feels almost philosophical. Break it down for us.
The oak is strong. It is massive. It looks impressive. It represents the old school NBA center. Think Shaq.
Immovable.
Right. But in a storm, the oak snaps because it refuses to bend. It fights the wind. It tries to use strength to overcome force, and eventually the force wins. The bamboo survives the storm because it yields. It bends all the way over until it touches the ground, and then it snaps back.
And Victor is the bamboo.
Victor's the bamboo of the NBA. His survival strategy is elasticity, not armor. He absorbs contact and flows with it, rather than trying to be a brick wall. This is why when he falls, he doesn't crash, he rolls, he flows.
And this quest for elasticity took him to some pretty extreme places. The source mentions the Shaolin Temple in China.
Yes. And this isn't just a metaphor or a training style inspired by the idea. This is literal. He went there.
I mean, we are talking about a French basketball player training with Shaolin monks. It sounds like the plot of a movie.
It does.
There is an anecdote here about teachers standing on his knees.
During a butterfly stretch, yeah.
Yeah.
To push the flexibility to its absolute limit.
Just picturing that makes my knees hurt. Why go to that extreme? That sounds like torture.
It's extreme, but the expert analysis in the source points out that this wasn't just physical training. This was about rewiring his brain. It was mental conditioning.
How so?
The hurdle wasn't just the pain of the stretch. It was the fear.
The fear that the body would break.
Exactly. When you are that tall, you live with a subconscious fear of your own fragility. You know you are long, you know you are vulnerable, you know that if you bend too far, something might snap. It's a self-preservation instinct.
So he had to unlearn that instinct.
He had to override it. Having a Shaolin master stand on your knees forces you to confront that fear, to trust the elasticity you've built. The source calls it arm wrestling with your legs. You have to mentally accept that you will not break. You have to reprogram your brain to trust the bamboo.
I love the analogy the host in the source uses. He compares Victor's body to Lego structures.
Right. It's the idea of modular construction. It's not about just getting bigger. It's about refinement. You add a brick here, you change a line there. You are building something that defies the original blueprint. He is constantly re-engineering himself. It's an active process of construction, not just working out.
Which brings us to the engineer himself, the mind. Because we can talk about the toe and the knees and the wingspan all day, but if the processor isn't working, the machine doesn't run.
The supercomputer behind the wheel.
There is a stillness to him described in the report. You watch him in interviews or even on the court during chaos. He's 20 years old, but he doesn't seem like it. He doesn't have that frantic energy of a rookie trying to prove himself.
No, he has a composure that's frankly unsettling for someone that age. And this is where we apply the concept of neuroplasticity.
Let's unpack that. Neuroplasticity. It's a term we hear a lot, but what does it mean in this context?
At its core, it's the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Now, every athlete learns. Every athlete improves. That's a given. But Victor's rate of learning is what sets him apart. It's the speed of the adaptation.
It's accelerated.
Massively. The source argues that he doesn't just memorize moves through repetition, which is how most people learn a physical skill. When a coach shows him something, a new footwork pattern, a defensive rotation, he integrates it into his neural hardware almost instantly.
It's not learning, it's upgrading. Like downloading a file directly to the motherboard.
It's a software patch. He sees it, he processes the logic of it, he uploads it, and suddenly he can do it. That is a terrifying ability for an opponent.
Because you can't rely on his weaknesses.
Exactly. Usually you scout a rookie and say, okay, he can't go left or he falls for pump fakes. You build a game plan around exploiting that. But with Victor, you can't rely on him having a weakness because he can patch that weakness in real time. He adapts within the game, not just between games.
And what's fascinating is how he maintains that mind. He's not just grinding tape 24/7, he feeds the software with things that have nothing on the surface to do with basketball.
This is the off-court personas section of the investigation. And honestly, it is arguably the most surprising part of the whole dossier.
We aren't talking about video games and nightclubs, which is the standard distraction for a young star with millions of dollars.
No. We are talking about reading Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. We are talking about drawing, painting, visiting art galleries.
There is this image in the source that I can't get out of my head. It contrasts his hands. These are hands that are rewriting defensive records, swatting balls into the stands with violence. But at 9 o'clock at night, those same massive hands are molding clay bowls.
It's a stark contrast. But it serves a vital function. It's not just a quirk. These hobbies create what the source calls scientific detachment.
Scientific detachment. How does making a bowl help you block a shot? What's the connection?
If you live in the adrenaline and the pressure of the game constantly, you burn out. Or you become emotional. You react to the referee, you react to the crowd, you get angry. You make mistakes based on emotion.
You lose focus.
You lose focus. By engaging in art and philosophy, he cultivates a calm. He builds a mental firewall. He enters the game not with raw emotional adrenaline, but with a focused, almost clinical mindset. He's dissecting the game, not just playing it. He's looking at it like a puzzle to be solved or a canvas to be painted.
It's a maturity level that feels decades beyond his age.
It is. It's the mindset of a 35-year-old veteran in the body of a 20-year-old rookie.
He was asked about the alien label, and he didn't get offended. He didn't try to act cool or brush it off.
No, he leaned into it.
He embraced the strangeness. He said he attaches importance to being new, unknown, strange.
Most 20-year-olds want to fit in. They want to be part of the crew. They want the approval of the group. He wants to be the unknown. He is comfortable being a species of one. That requires a tremendous amount of self-assurance.
And his reaction to vices, alcohol, parties was just chillingly mature. The quote is incredible. He said, "Why would I do all this? I have nothing to compensate for."
I have nothing to compensate for. That is a powerful statement of self. He doesn't need the distraction because he is fully engaged in the construction of his own potential. He views those things as inefficiencies. Why put bad fuel in a Ferrari? Why introduce chaos into a system you are trying to perfect?
The source characterizes him as a philosopher king. And honestly, after reading this, it's hard to argue. He's a 20-year-old soul in a sci-fi body.
A philosopher king who can dunk from the free throw line. It's a dangerous combination.
Right. Which brings us to the conclusion, the verdict. We've looked at the body, the training, the mind, but we need to zoom out. What does this all mean for the NBA? What does this mean for the game of basketball itself?
The source frames this final argument using a very specific biological term. It doesn't pull any punches. It calls Victor an invasive species.
That sounds ominous. It sounds like we should be worried.
It is intended to be ominous for the rest of the league. In ecology, what does an invasive species do? It doesn't just join the ecosystem. It doesn't just find a niche and live happily next to the natives.
It takes over.
It forces every other species to adapt or die. It changes the food chain. It alters the environment itself.
So Victor is the invasive species in the NBA ecosystem.
The extinction event for old NBA archetypes is already underway. We are seeing it live. The lumbering giant we talked about earlier.
Obsolete.
Extinct. They cannot survive in an environment where Victor exists. The pure post player who can't shoot. Extinct. Victor renders them obsolete because He can do what they do, plus what the guards do. If you can't keep up with the evolution, you lose your spot on the roster.
The source mentions speculation about rule changes. We haven't seen the league change rules for a player since. What, Wilt Chamberlain or Shaq?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But they are talking about a 4-point line, new defensive rules, like widening the lane again. The league is literally trying to figure out how to patch the game because Victor broke it.
And you can't just find another player to counter him.
No, because the Wembanyama stopper does not exist in the current human gene pool. You cannot draft a player to stop him because that human hasn't been born yet. He's a generational leap.
It's a biological correction. I keep coming back to that phrase from the source.
That's the phrase. This isn't just a game of points and rebounds. We are watching a biological correction. We are watching the matrix glitch in real time. Nature is correcting the inefficiency of the giant.
It goes back to that alien label we started with. Unicorn was for the previous era. Unicorns were fun novelties. They were rare, but they were understandable.
They fit on the spectrum.
They did. But Victor requires a new language entirely. He's off the spectrum.
The game as we knew it is already extinct. We just haven't fully processed it yet. We are still analyzing the stats, looking at the standings, thinking, oh, maybe the Spurs will make the playoffs. But the paradigm has already shifted. Victor isn't a better version of what came before. He is a different branch of the evolutionary tree.
So what does this all mean for us watching at home? How should we consume this?
It means we need to stop comparing him to the past. We stop looking for the next LeBron or the next Durant. Those comparisons are insufficient. They are lazy.
They don't fit.
They don't. We are watching the first Victor. We have to appreciate it for what it is, the beginning of something entirely new.
And here's a final thought from the source that I want to leave everyone with. It's a bit of a shiver down the spine moment. The future isn't coming. It is already here, wearing a San Antonio jersey.
A powerful closing line.
And by the time the world figures out how to play against him,
the game will have already changed irrevocably. He will have terraformed the entire landscape.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into the alien anomaly. It's not often we get to watch evolution happen on live TV. Thanks for listening.
A pleasure as always.